What up, guys? Another Adonis review. Today, I'm going to do a newer game that I just have a lot of opinions on, so I thought I'd get out of the way, and that is Rise of the Ronin. When Rise of the Ronin first came into announcement, the hype, in my opinion, was pretty high. Had a lot of, in my opinion, I was thinking it'd be kind of like a Witcher without the focus on, evil monsters, and like a Japanese Witcher, Ghost of Tsushima sort, heavy, good storytelling with beautiful atmosphere and vibes, and all taking place in Japan. Now, with that being said, the storytelling is a little bit lesser than I imagined, at least if you were comparing it to the way The Witcher kind of does storytelling. But the game does have a lot of positives, but in different areas that I would have probably never have expected it. In one area in particular, probably it has the best I've ever seen mechanic in any game I've ever personally played. So first off, it is a very hefty sized game. It's over 100 gigabytes, and again, this story is made to be a single player or play with a friend type of game. Not very, it's like a multiplayer Call of Duty game. So for it to be that size, it's pretty unique. So it's pretty vast. The game is kind of cut up into 3 different areas that you kind of explore one at a time. It's unlike Ghost of Tsushima, which I guess kind of has 2 areas that you kind of slowly expand. These ones are kind of locked into unless you decide to switch back into it via a mechanic they have. Storytelling apart, it's pretty well done. It kind of puts you in that area of Japan history and who to side with when it comes to England coming to Japan, and if you should side with Japan and trying to preserve its history or accept Western lifestyle and all that good fun stuff that we all love to learn about, and would definitely only play this game just to absorb that information. But beyond that, graphically, I would say it's probably just a smidge below Ghost of Tsushima. Ghost of Tsushima really had a way with the way they created their colors and vibes and atmosphere, which, even though it wasn't the most beautiful game in history, if you're just, thinking of amazing games, for example, Hellblade 2 just came out, Ghost of Tsushima is obviously not Hellblade 2 for obvious reasons, but this could be at least at Ghost of Tsushima level. It's a slightly below it. They do have some areas where, the flakes of the grass and everything look good, but they didn't replicate the style as much as one might have hoped when you think about playing this game. But again, not the end of the world. The main negatives in the game, I would say, is a lot of the repetitiveness of the game. Unfortunately, as with most open world games nowadays, they've tried to be better at the monotonous side quests that kind of give you filler, to make it a little bit less of a to-do list and more of a reason to do it. This game doesn't really do that. I mean, it's not the end of the world, but it really is a to-do list. Go collect cats, go defeat people in an area to create order, and that kind of makes the area open to you. Shit like that happens. Nothing too crazy when it comes to side missions, unfortunately. They're all pretty straightforward as well. A thing that I don't really like that they did, but they give you, I guess it's a way to circumvent it, is that they have these kind of missions that kind of force you to pick to be on someone's side, and which obviously kind of has repercussions on the future of the game in ways. But the way they kind of fix that is they give you this power to be able to kind of replay missions and see what you missed and earn the rewards you would have gotten if you chose to go that way and stick to go with that way and stuff. I personally, I'm glad they did that. If they're going to make you pick a side to play with, but I wish it was a little bit more clear on what's worth the difference beyond the fact of perhaps if you accidentally went straight through the main story missions too quickly, then went to the second area, and like, oh fuck, there's still a bunch of stuff I had to do on the side. I sure wish I could go back and do that. Well, you can, that's nice. But I don't feel like personally it doesn't explain well enough of exactly, what's worth going back to change, what are you really missing because of the decision you made. At least just from a general standpoint of playing it, it's not super clear to me, what's really worth going back to. I'm definitely, in my opinion, you definitely got to go back and do research on it to figure out what you might have missed, and will be worth making that choice of going back. So that's kind of a negative, in my opinion. The filler missions, like I said. Now, one of the positives I'd say, again, is probably the most unique mechanic that I've ever seen in a game, is this game gives you an arsenal of, different weapons to use, which is standard. Typically, you get your katanas and dual swords and oxtail blades, spears and pole arms, which is neat by itself. But the thing that this game does, which is really nice and interesting, is it gives each one of these weapons different fighting styles to use. Imagine how in Ghost of Tsushima, if you played it, they had like 3 or 4 different fighting styles that you could switch between depending on the enemy. So if an enemy had a shield, well, you should switch to this fighting style because it's good versus shield. Well, this game does that times 100. Not only do you get different fighting styles that help depending on who you're fighting, but you get, like multiple fighting styles for each weapon. The katana by itself having the most, where you have like 11 different types of fighting styles just for the katana. I've never seen a game have this rich variety. Which is cool, especially because I've played a lot of games in the past where, it's a game obviously like this where you only have these weapons, only like swords or, axes or whatever. And so you hope for a variety, but typically, you have square and triangle, they do the same slashes, and sometimes you get special ability attacks, but, the general slashing and hacking is the same the whole game. So the fact that you get so much variety in not only the weapons you get, but the forms they actually take for that weapon is again, I've never seen anything like this in a game. It really keeps it fresh and on your toes for unlocking new styles. There's also like some there's like 4 different types of attacks for each style that you can unlock. And they usually even keep the 3rd and 4th kind of locked down until you master the technique, and then you get that 3rd type of specialty for that style unlocked. So it's not like you just automatically get all these styles and can just switch between it. You do got to earn it, which is definitely needed in a game, that's open world to kind of keep you interested. The only negative beyond that point is they do throw thousands of countless different, slightly different leveled weapons at you constantly, that you're just spending all this time selling equipment to get money and whatnot, which isn't the end of the world. And they do give you a wide variety of legendary versions, and to my knowledge, I think there's just like a legendary version of every type of weapon. They kind of give you a version of, which eventually kind of gets like whatever at a certain point, especially with how much they give you. With the clothing as well, it really gets overblown, and I don't think they have it, but I wish they had a mechanic to kind of show you the duplicates you might have in clothing, instead of having to like kind of go side by side and figure out if you have some duplicate somewhere, or some type of fucking kimono that you don't know, so you can sell it instead of having to like read everyone one by one. I digress. Not the end of the world. Just small little nitpicks I'm thinking of. But long story short, it is a great game. Like I said, it gives you, plenty of hours. I think the main story by itself is easily over 30 hours. And the game, with all the side content and everything, probably goes into the 80s of hours. So it's a very long game. Like I said, pretty close to Ghost of Tsushima in the artwork and style of the game. The negatives are the typical negatives of monotonous tasks in open worlds, and possibly having too much loot that kind of becomes annoying just to have so much of it. Like, it'd be kind of nicer if when you kind of got some loot, it was a little bit more special feeling. But the combat stuff that they've made in this game to have so much diversity in the way you can fight, not with only one weapon, but with the multiple different weapons they give you, and all that diversity is really what makes this game shine above any other game I've kind of seen in the same area. So it's definitely a game I would say worth playing. I got the game at full price because I was super hyped. Is this a full price game? Probably not. But I would say it's probably fair price. Maybe $35 would be. I don't think you'd feel bad spending $35 on it. If you spent probably anything above $35, be a bit too much. A great bargain for this game would probably be like $30. If it ever gets to $20, I'd get it, drop of the dime. But anything above 40 is a bit too much. So like I said, 35 is a pretty good sweet spot, especially nowadays, while it's going to be on the more expensive side. So, hope this gives you possibly some insight that other ones who watch that have come out reviewing it lately haven't. Later, guys.